Welcome to the Big Game Hunting Podcast, where we help hunters like you prepare for the big game hunting adventures you've always dreamed of. Now, here's your host, John McAdams.
Hello, John McAdams here. Welcome to episode 299 of the Big Game Hunting Podcast. Next up in our ongoing Africa hunting mini-series is an interview with Axel Kramer, the president of the Namibia Professional Hunting Association, or NAPHA. Now, Axel was kind enough to take a break from his busy schedule to discuss NAPHA's new age-related trophy measuring system they recently implemented in order to incentivize hunters to harvest older animals that are either in or ideally past their prime age for breeding, and to disincentivize the harvesting of immature pre-breeding age animals that, regardless of how well they may quote-unquote score on a traditional measuring and scoring system, haven't yet had the chance to breed and pass their genetics along. As you will learn here shortly, NAPHA introduced this new system for a number of reasons, and we will discuss why they did so, the benefits they hope to see from this new system down the line, and we'll also get into a little bit of the nuts and bolts of the new age-related trophy measuring system and what it means for visiting hunters. Before we get started, I am a big believer in wearing quality ear protection while hunting and shooting. Fortunately, there are some excellent hearing protection options for hunters these days that are way better than what we had available just 5 to 10 years ago. I've used a lot of stuff, but the Axel X-Cores are my favorite ear protection for hunting right now. They're comfortable to wear for hours at a time, sound quality is great, and they are cordless. They're basically like having Apple AirPods that also provide ear protection and hearing enhancement. Bottom line, Axel X-Cores are the only ear protection I'd feel comfortable wearing when trailing a Cape buffalo in the thick bushveld, where your life depends on having all of your senses working at 100%. As a matter of fact, I've done exactly that with the X-Cores, and I was thrilled with how they performed. Do yourself a favor, buy some Axel X-Core electronic earbuds for yourself. Click the link in the show notes or go to thebiggamehuntingblog.com/earbuds to get the best available pricing on these earbuds. That is an affiliate link, and I will earn a small commission on your purchase, but it comes at no extra cost to you. And like I said, you'll also find the best available pricing on those earbuds at that link anyway. Next, make sure you are on my email list. To do that, click the link in the show notes or go to huntingguns101.com and sign up there for my free ebook on the best hunting cartridges. You'll get that ebook when you do so, plus you'll also start to receive the emails I send out every weekday. These are entertaining and informative emails about hunting, shooting, ballistics, things like that. I get feedback all the time from people telling me how much they look forward to hearing from me every day. So make sure you are getting those emails too by going to huntingguns101.com. And finally, please do me a big favor, hit that subscribe or follow button in the podcast app you are listening to this show on. And if you haven't already done so, please leave me a rating and or a review. Doing those things helps me reach other hunters like you, and you'll also start to receive future episodes automatically after you subscribe. Okay, let's get started talking to Axel about the new age-related trophy scoring system in Namibia. Okay, well, Axel, it is great having you on the show with us today. Thanks a lot for joining us and talking to us about the situation in Namibia, especially with your age-related trophy measuring system.
Thank you, John. Thank you very much for the opportunity. And actually was looking forward to getting engagement also in the US, because primarily we only have done it in the European market, but it's a good opportunity, and thank you for that platform.
Happy to do it. So before we get started talking about that, can you tell us a little bit about NAPHA and what your guys' mission is?
Yes, thank you. So NAPHA, it stands for the Namibia Professional Hunting Association. It's been formed in 1974 by professional hunters. And actually this year we have our centenary or 50th anniversary. So it's a big year for us in Namibia. And yeah, NAPHA is actually a voluntary association which consists out of members, primarily professional hunters and hunting guides. And our mandate is, or vision is actually to protect the future of hunting in this country. So we do engage with the local government, with other associations, and actually doing that and fighting our cause, and that our children can also have a living from hunting in this country And that's actually basically our mandate.
Now, you are a professional hunter, and you also have the additional duty of being the president of NAPHA. Is that right?
That's correct, sir. So we do it all voluntarily. We do have an executive committee, which consists of five members. I'm now on the second term as a presidency, so my term will run still this year until end of next year. When I'm done end of next year, I will finish in 10 years in the executive committee. But yeah, we are all professional hunters. We are farmers. We are hunting guides, and we do our work for NAPHA for a good cause. And we all have our own businesses on our farms and where we operate from.
Yes, you have the dual mission of one, taking care of yourself and your livelihood in the short term, but at the same time, trying to build a good system that preserves all of that for future generations and continuing to make sure that just the overall hunting situation in Namibia is good all around.
Yes, actually, if you want to hunt Namibia, to be a member of to hunt with an outfitter who's a member of NAPHA, and that gives you some form of comfort, and it's like it's like an assurance that actually because members of NAPHA they abide to a thing code of conduct, which so if you want to hunt in Namibia, you should make sure that you hunt with a NAPHA member, and that also buys into our constitution and our code of conduct and our professionalism throughout the country.
And so, presumably, you have a code of conduct. Code of conduct that also means that every now and then you have to kick members out when they, don't behave according to your rules. Then, right?
Yeah, actually, we also, but not kicked out. We do have a committee which is called the disciplinary committee, and there are other organs as well in our association. It gives a platform to, if there's a conflict between members, amongst members, we do have an ombudsman who then mediate between the members. But also, if you have a hunter, we have a problem with an outfitter, and you can't get it resolved, you can contact our offices, and we have then engaged with the outfitter or with the member, and to see that we can get the problem solved and sort it out. So that's for us very important. But actually, I want to say we had very few occasions where we had to kick out a member. I can't, during my presidency and before, I can't remember that we ever kicked out a member in terms of that. So it shows that Namibia is it's highly regulated in terms of our hunting practices, and we are also trying to keep that standard very high.
Okay, very good. Now, the other side of NAPHA that a lot of visiting hunters get a lot of their interaction with is your guys' medal system. And I hunted Namibia 2006. That was my very first hunt ever in Africa. Had a great time there. And remember at the end of my hunt, my professional hunter measured all my stuff. And, we went to the NAPHA office in Windhoek and, got medals for some of my trophies there. So can you explain this system to people that have no idea what I'm talking about?
Yeah, thank you, John. I think maybe just start with the medals. Why are medals so important and for NAPHA and the members? We are a small organization. We have about 350 members, and we have to finance our existence and our office personnel by income from fees, from membership fees. But also we need to grow. We need to grow our conservation initiatives and all of that. So how do we grow it? So part of the income streams is that we have medals which we offer to hunters who hunted animals, and those medals actually do support our office. So we fund part of our office NAPHA initiatives, but also a portion of those medal sales, they go into a committee which we call the Hunter Support Education Committee. That is a committee which actually does school outreaches for children which are not in a position as we are privileged to have farms. So those committees, they do initiatives where they teach children to have what is nature, what we do in nature, how to behave in nature, and all of that. So a lot of that income goes directly to that committee. So it's not just that we purely fund ourselves from it, but also we do conservation initiatives like the school projects we do from that.
Okay, very good.
Yeah, so we basically the medals we have. I think we have 5 medals. If I just want to, we have a bronze, silver, and gold medal, where trophies are then judged or then actually measured according to our system. And then we do have a conservation medal that is a medal which is for old trophies or for deformed horns or which we can't measure, which will not get any points. Or for example, if you want to hunt or you hunted mountain zebra or a baboon, which doesn't have a particular measurement in place, you can also buy a conservation medal for that. And then our prestige prime medal is the game feeds medal. Is a medal which is an animal which was classified or qualified for a gold medal, but it needs to have an advanced age, which is actually in past the prime. So those trophies will then qualify for the game fields medal.
Okay, very, very good. And as I was looking through your website, I saw you had your the scores that qualified for each of the different medal levels, or the bronze, silver, gold. I also saw that you had a quality control minimum listed there. What did that mean?
So quality control is at the moment Namibia has a Namibia quality control. Before we go to our new method, but Namibia quality control is built up on Safari Club International's measurement method. But Namibia quality control will say certain point the trophy is measured according to certain points, and as long as you have that points, that animal is suited for export.
I see.
So whether and the difference, and we come to that now, is the difference is you can have an extraordinary good trophy for example, a Gemsbok. You have an extraordinary bull, but it's way too young, and that bull would qualify for a gold medal, but it's still too young. So a quality control only gives the actual points, the measurement points, but it doesn't take the age into account.
I see. Okay. Well, let's switch gears and take the next step then and talk about the age-related trophy system. What was the purpose of doing it, and then how are you achieving your mission with it?
Yes, John. So way back in pre-COVID 2019, we as NAPHA, we accepted that, as I call it, the age-related measurement system, which was actually developed by the Rongo Verzeichnis, which was some farmers or actually professional hunters came and said, okay, let's identify or build a measurement system which actually classify trophies or animals into an age class instead of a physical age by years. So 2019, NAPHA accepted that new measurement system as our official measurement method. When 2020 came, 21, we had COVID, so we didn't find good traction during that time. But since the last year and two, we really made a big effort to promoting it. So actually, what it does, it gives an incentive for older animals to actually also compete with those which are in prime or too young. So this is actually what it stands for.
Okay, very good. And we were talking about this earlier. This is a problem that's been identified with different species in different parts of Africa and whatnot, where there are, especially buffalo, right?
Yes.
A buffalo that may score very well on the SCI system could quite often be a very, very young bull before he's had a chance to harden his boss and break off his horn tips and whatnot. And so he's very big and scores very well. And so a lot of guys will want to shoot that. But at the same time, he has great genetics and hasn't had a chance to breed yet and pass those genetics on. And so you're trying to walk that tightrope where you want to do the things that encourage people to shoot those bulls later in life like that. But at the same time, when they're 5 years older than they were when you would have originally shot them, there's problems associated with that. They break off their horn tips and whatnot, and so they don't score as well under the old system. And so you have to do different things to incentivize the taking of animals like that, right?
Yes. So, John, yeah, you're 100% right. And actually, I just want to, we will do away with the physical years. So whether in our case, whether the kudu bull is not 10 years or 12 years, or an oryx is 16 or 18 years, it does. We will not go there. We will classify into age classes, where we actually have 3 age classes. Very easy also for professional hunters to identify it. And the age classes are actually too young, and then you have the next phase will be in the prime, which are in the prime and past the prime. And actually, our objective and the aims of those about the system is to actually strongly discourage and to the hunting of immature trophies. So those animals which are still too young, they will disqualify for any medal or for any top 10 listing, and they actually should not be hunted. So if you have a buffalo in your case with a huge spread, but the boss has not been fully developed, and horns and tusks are weapons and tools of animals, and as they grow older, those are then developed. So if you have a buffalo which you still have a boss which is not fully developed, but it has a huge potential, he actually shouldn't be shot. He should be said, okay, we're going to look for an older one. Mm-hmm. So it's also part of us to say we need to work harder, and we actually should have that maturity to our hunters and say, listen, I know it's a big bull. Let's see whether we can find a better one or an older one, actually.
Yeah, definitely. So you mentioned specifically in the case of the buffalo, the boss hardening and getting larger like that. What are some of the other characteristics that, say in other animals like a kudu or a springbok or something, are indicative of it moving from that immature into the prime age range and then past breeding age?
Yeah, so I mentioned about those 3 age classes. We then have various different animal species, the spiral animals, where we actually. So basically, once the first growth in terms of an animal is always the upward growth into the horn. So this is always in any animal where the horns grow. The first growth part goes upward to horns. They develop the horns, and then they get the length and the spread. That's all part of the physically how the fodder they have, so how they develop. But as they grow with age, but on the younger ones, on the basis of the horns or on the boss, they still have that velvety material. They have gray. Their bosses are still very soft and gray. They're not yet fully hardened. And you will see it if you look through your and you search for an animal. Through your binoculars, you're going to identify. You see that velvety material at the bases. Then you immediately will know this is a too young animal. You should then say, no, I will not take it. Mm-hmm. So as the animal grow into the next phase, so we call it the prime phase, those the horn bases are fully developed. The bosses became fully hardened. Also the bases, you don't have that gray material anymore, and then their horns grow stronger. They also grow darker in their appearance, but also the posture of the animals. They grow bigger in posture and so on. But the last phase, if they grow into the past the prime, is then we call it the secondary growth phase, and there you see that the horn tips or they're going to wear down. They're going to get shorter because they have to fight. They're fighting heavily, as you know that. And then also at the basis, you're going to see that there's inward growth towards the skull, and this is where the animals or the trophies, they get into the past the prime age, and this is the last third segment of their on their clock, on their lifetime cycle, where they grow into the past the prime. So whether it's then and you can't really say whether it's now 12 or 10 or 14 or 16 years, But when you say, if you do see that, when you see it's a past the prime animal.
Now, that is very interesting that when the animal makes it into that past their prime category, they actually get a little bit thinner towards the bases. That is not what I would have thought.
Yeah, so because when they grow the past the prime, they are fully mature, and you're going to see the appearance differs in terms of easily be differentiated by that's on the basis they get thinner there, but their secondary growth, it is an inward growth which grows towards the skull, not towards the tip anymore. Because in the initial phases of the development of the horns, they grow the tips. So then as they grow older, the bases they grow thicker, but then as they grow thereafter, past the prime, it gets thinner there, and there you have secondary horn growth towards the skull.
That is very interesting. Now, I know that this is also something that's going to vary from species to species too. Warthog, it's a little bit different than a kudu. But I see, I'm looking through your PDF right now. I see with the hartebeest, there's actually an additional deal with the ornament ring section. Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so we have a few animals which have a additional measurement, as we call it. Like the hartebeest, we say as the hartebeest, they also wear down the horns very significantly. So if you want to do a official measurement, so from a hartebeest, when I explain it, you measure obviously, as we all know, the length of both horns, and then we determine the longest horn. We determine that. Then you measure the longest horn, the basis of the longest horn. So first of all, you measure both horns to identify which horn is the longest. Once you have that, you measure that basis of the longest horn and then there's also a secondary measurement, an extra measurement, where you measure from the basis up to the ornament ring section as an additional measurement. Because as in the hartebeest, also with the gemsbok, they wear off their horns significantly. Once you have the sum of those three, the sum of the size of the longest horn, then the basis of the longest horn, and that additional measurement, you have the sum of that. And if it's a bull which is in the prime, which also huntable, then there's no H factor to it. It's an H factor 1.0. So when you just use that sum, but if it's an animal which is then past the prime, which then qualifies if it has that secondary growth, we multiply that sum by H factor 1.12, because that's where the incentive come in. So once you have then that sum, you can see where your animal qualifies for. So I just want to point out, John, not any old animal was a very good animal or a prime or an outstanding animal in its prime. Mm-hmm. So you have bulls or animals which are way past the prime, which are old, but they are not always a extraordinary animal when they were still young. Mm-hmm. So, but you have those animals which are, or those bulls, which were extraordinary in their prime or in their young, but they had to fight a lot. They had to wear off. They were moving along various areas in the habitat. They survived drought times, anything. All of that plays a vital importance of the aging of those animals. And we actually want to give an incentive for those extra old animals which are still can compete with a young one or a prime one.
And so we got a couple things going on here, with one where you're trying to design a system where there's a couple of characteristics you can train professional hunters to look at and just through their binoculars and say, okay, that's probably a past its prime gemsbok 200 meters away or whatever, and then tell your hunter, this is the one that we want to shoot here, or this is a young bull, let's pass on him this year, and we'll give him some more time to grow. And so you have that, and so it's kind of a snap decision where you're just making this decision in a few seconds, but you're looking for those characteristics, and then
yes,
and then you measure it later and come up with your score, and then based upon when you get a closer look at it, when it's there on the ground and in front of you, the professional hunter or the scorer can confirm that, okay, yes, I made the right call. This was a prime or a past prime animal. And then you measure it. And then if it is a past prime animal, you take the score according to your specified scoring systems, and then you multiply it times 1.12 times that score. So you get a bonus if it was a past prime animal.
Yes, 100%. So, John, it's actually a philosophy approach. We need to change our philosophy. We need to say, it's difficult if you have a hunter in the field to say, okay, now this animal, it's so many points. Which actually we want to take a step back, saying we want to hunt the right animal. We want to hunt, it must be old enough to be hunted. Mm-hmm. So you go after the animal, you say, no, it's too young, you leave it, you search for a new one, mm-hmm. or an alternative one. And then you identify, you tell your hunter client, listen, this is an old bull. It's a old enough bull to actually shoot. And then if you shot it and you do the physical, as you said, the physical pointing, aging, there you can say, listen, it really qualifies for this and this medal. But it is actually the philosophy should be that we should hunt on older trophies. And it's not always easy. Obviously, every hunter, and I'm including myself in terms of that, it's nice to have an extraordinary big bull, whether it's with a spread of a buffalo or extraordinarily good kudu. But we also should say, what are we doing about conservation? Mm-hmm. What are we doing to protect our gene pool? Namibia is different from the rest of Africa or from South Africa and other parts of Africa, where we are living in a semi-desert area. We are we have now in a season where we got some rain, but drought times hit us hard. They do have an impact on our numbers as well. But if we have good rain, those game numbers, they come back good. They bounce back. But we need to look that we preserve our gene pool. And so we need to also claim our fame that we are conservationists and that we're hunting ethically and to keep that standard high. And I think our age-related measurement system is a tool to in the right direction and to pave the way forward for it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so. And I think you're going to get two bonuses with it. One being on the ethical side of things, where you're working to give yourself that better way of doing things in the long run like that, and sort of practicing what you preach as far as focusing your harvest on prime and past prime individuals too. But I could also see that in 5 or 10 years, if you're passing all of those young but real high scoring animals and letting them breed, you may see a general increase in your overall trophy quality if those guys get the chance to do that.
Yes, and I think that's also our, if we sell Namibia, what are we selling? We need to sell the hunting experience, the hunt itself on actually, and also by way of abiding to the age-related measurement system. But it's also our we should also educate our hunters and ourselves, our own people are on the ground, our professional hunters who are with every day in the field. They need to buy into that philosophy. And then we should educate and convince our hunters that we should abide that. And this is what we are trying. It's a long way still to go. We also, I just want to mention that we reached out to our Ministry of Environment, Forestry and Tourism. They actually accepted that if a new legislation comes out, the new wildlife bill, as we want to call it like that, that the NAPHAs or our new measurement system will be the get-to-go measurement system for Namibia. So it's not just that we as an organization, but we are leading, we are trying to influence our government doing that, and they've given us the assurance that they include it. So we're actually looking forward for that, because then really we're going to have a system in place which is actually leading our fraternity, and I think this is something we can be really proud of.
No, I think so. And I think this is good. And it's good that you guys are working to change the culture on it, and that hopefully in 10 years, the situation will be different. Because right now, a guy shoots a 40-inch Gemsbach, and he's thrilled about that. That's a beautiful, great Gemsbok. But no one ever asks, oh, was that a young Gemsbok or was that an old Gemsbok? And then hopefully in 5 or 10 years, people will be saying, oh man, I shot a really old Gemsbok, really past his prime. And that will be given that sort of prestige in people's minds as just the pure 40-inch Gemsbok. We don't care how old he was given there.
Yes, and I think if you can also then say that Gemsbok is now, he really has passed his prime, and he already made the gene pool was he played his part, if you want to say, and we as hunters that we can claim by that and saying, okay, we took out that old bull from the herd, which would die in any event, because game dies, so I think that's when we can also showcase that into the non-hunting fraternity, and hopefully by that it's becoming more acceptable to that, and saying that we are what is real part of real conservation going forward.
And so, I hate to keep bringing it back to scores and all of that stuff, because I know that is maybe some people consider it tacky, but to other people it's very important. And so it's good that you have the carrot and the stick sort of deal here. And this is a case where, say, someone shoots a past prime animal and they get the 1.12 multiplier bonus. It's a case where, say, on the old system, they shoot this animal, it would have been a bronze medal. Now, if it's past its prime and it gets that bonus, it might be a silver medal. Is that right? Or
yes,
it might be a gold medal, right?
It might be a gold medal. That's where that extra measurement comes in. And when this measurement system was developed, the group of those professional hunters which came together, they really made a huge effort, and over, I think it was 2 or 3 years, they got the various different trophies together and made a research on that one. And for example, with the eland as well, also as eland, the Cape eland, as we know it. They also sometimes, they are really fantastic old bull animals, and they also wear down their horns. So they might not be as long, but they're really thick, and that we also have that additional measurement on eland as well. We also have that on roan and sable. I know that those are two animals are very, very sought after also in the US market, and being offered here also, and in Africa with it must be a over 40-inch or over 42-inch long. It's a fantastic sable to have over 42-inch. There's absolutely no doubt about it. But if you have a sable which is close to that, or even, and you have that additional measurement on the ornament section, and it's an old sable, and it would actually outperform that one. If that's something you look here after, and when you as hunter, you can say you really contributed to conservation.
What are some of the characteristics that you're supposed to look for, say, in a hyena or a leopard that doesn't have horns?
Yeah, that's actually you will not be able to judge it from if you're hunting. You can say the physical assessment is done from the skull. You're going to see it on the canine, then the canine teeth, the wear on the canine. So you actually need to have the skull to see how the canine actually wear in between the side of the of those thing, and also the aging on the color of those canine teeth. You see it. It turns really dark and yellowish. You're going to see also that, but it's very difficult you can't see it when you're actually hunting leopard, but a leopard, you will see an old leopard, and you're going to see it with that distinctive dewlap on. You're going to see it, and the thickness of his skull, the whole appearance, scar marks on his face, where you can say, okay, it's an old Tom. But the physical assessment, you need to have a skull in front of you to see how that been worn off in terms of leopard or hyena or all the predators actually.
So in practical terms, a guy comes over, goes on a hunt, and shoots a number of animals in Namibia. how do they get them scored for the scoring system and aged? How do you go about doing that?
Yeah, so for any hunter, that outfitter on the farm, he can, if it's a NAPHA member, actually we do have a medal system in place. So by law, every trophy needs to be measured. So in terms of a permit, so we do have, as said, we are very strictly regulated. So every trophy you shot at the back of a permit, you actually need to measure it.
Okay.
So you actually have to, in any event, measure the trophy in terms of its terms of the length of the horns and the circumferences, and you add those points together. But then for our medal system, or for maybe if you want to add it under our top 10 list, NAPHA top 10 list, you already have those measurements. You only for the certain animals you have an additional measurement, and then but you need to have then the skull. You just have the skull in front of you, and then you judge it from the horn. The basic, you classify whether it was first of all, if it was too young, we still have that gray material on the basis of a horn, the velvety material. You will know it's too young, and it's disqualified from any medal or any entry into the top 10. And then if you have it next, if it's either prime, you will see it when you classify it, or when you have passed the prime, you add that age factor 1.1 to it. And then every outfitter or NAPHA member will have a brochure at home, and you say, okay, these are the minimum measurement points. You can then qualify there's a table where you qualify those different medals. And then even if a professional hunter says this is a really, really good trophy, it needs entry into the top 10, we do it. We have various official measurers within the NAPHA organization. In the past, we have now, we only had 8 in the past, but we have now new members to it. We brought our 20 official measurers who can then assess your trophy for example, for top 10 listing.
And so in the case of a regular medal, it's just the professional hunter that measures it and then ages it. And then in the case of the top 10, you need to go take the trophy to one of the official scorers, and they'll verify that it is indeed the appropriate age class and measurements that the professional hunter says it is.
Yes, and then we have a 4-eye principle. As I said, it must be then 2 official measurers who then do the assessment, and it must be, they have to do it. You're also very strict in terms of they can't cahoot. They need to do it independently, and it's always important. You have to take your time.
Yeah.
You have to take your time, assess the trophy from the various parts, from the horn basis, and then also secondary things on wear off on the horns and all of that, and then you judge it. And you judge it whether it's which age class is it. Then make your measurements, and then we have then the reaffirmation from another measurer. And we're actually trying, John, and be trying to build an international presence of measurements. So it's not so easy, but
yeah.
Yeah. So, but for example, in the States or Europe, you will have measurers who actually, trophies which are normally not measured. Or for example, you showed me your warthog. Your warthog is a superb warthog. It's an old warthog, and you actually can contact then a NAPHA measurer, or maybe see him at one of his shows at DSC or SCI show, and visit our NAPHA booth. That's actually what we want to do in the future. And then you can get it there measured, and then reassess, if I want to say it like that, and then maybe put it into a top 10 entry as well.
Okay.
And by that, yes.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. That was the next question I was going to have, because if you do it before the trophies leave Namibia, it's one thing. You got all the scorers there, but yeah, for all the guys that brought their stuff home. So that is the answer to that question then, is there are some, and you're hoping to get more official measurers in the US, Europe, etc.
Yes. But by the measurers also then, they're like ambassadors to us. Yeah, once you have a measurer, they take our philosophy forward.
Mm-hmm.
How do we? And the hunters come from abroad, so we need to get that message out to our hunters who come from abroad. So, so this is the first thing, and then I have to tell you, the best thing is always if you have taxidermy work done, it's very difficult to assess a trophy. So, for example, of course, some of the taxidermists, I'm not saying it's bad, but they polish up your trophies. So if you want to have something, it must be like a skull and horn. Then there we can say determine the age class, and then do the official measurements. So if you have some taxidermy stuff, it's very difficult then to already do it there. But you can still do it before you do taxidermy work. And for example, in Namibia or before the trophy leaves Namibia.
All right. So you were saying, say for the top 10, you need 2 different measurers to measure it. What do you do in cases where they get a discrepancy in the results? One guy gets this measurement and the other guy gets that one.
John, I'll be very honest, we didn't have that yet. So that's a very good question.
Yeah.
Maybe we need to sharpen up that process. But that's a good question. And I think we didn't have that yet. So we need to see how we take it from there. But I think, to be very honest, John, it's no rocket science.
Yeah.
It's no rocket science to physically age class a trophy. And I think we the hunters here, the PHs, they know what they're doing. And it might be that this is like in between, or a borderline case, as we call it like that.
Mm-hmm.
A borderline case between prime and past the prime. We are more on the conservative side, that we then scale it down. So one. So, for example, if it's a borderline case between prime and past the prime, we would then just scale it down to prime, and also between young and prime, we would then say, listen, that's unfortunately is too young. So discrepancies normally only can happen between those borderline cases.
Mm-hmm.
But if you then just take your time and thoroughly check again the trophy, you're gonna see, okay, listen, I'm gonna check again and make sure, and take the handbook, take your guidelines and work from it. When you're fine.
Okay. Now I also see that you are keeping your old top 10 for everything, but you're also adding a new top 10 with the new scoring system.
Yes. So we have done that because we have a long history. I told you it's 50 years of NAPHA existence, and there are some superb trophies taken over the years. So we don't want to discourage that, John. There's nothing wrong with that. So we don't want to say the history is bad, but no, history was good. So we actually want to build up the new top 10 listing, and that is only for those animals which are according to our new measurement system. But we also want to give credit to those trophies, which are really, some of them or most of them are really superb trophies. Some of them might have been too young, but that's how it is. So but we're going to move forward for that. So that's the reason why we're still having them and showing it, because also there are some legendary PHs who have hunted those, and it's still also a good marketing tool. Some of the PHs, they use our top 10 listing as a marketing tool for themselves. So we actually didn't want to take it away.
Yeah.
So that.
I think that's a reasonable way of doing it too. You can't judge someone that did something 20 years ago for a new focus on a particular thing that we have today. And okay, yes. This is the old way we did it, and this is the way we're going to do it going forward. It seems very reasonable to do, and I think that's the best way to do it, to emphasize your new focus on age in that way, without, like you said, taking away from those who shot truly very magnificent animals a long time ago.
Yes, actually, and also from, if look at elephant, it's and warthog, they have the same with tuskers. Sometimes we see it. You're blinded by way of a long tusk or long warthog tusk. Whereas in an elephant, I'm not an elephant hunter, but you can see the warthog. Oh, it's a long one. but then, as we grow older, the nerve cells, they actually, they die inside, they make up, they grow backwards, and the nerve cells has been closing. That's where where the elephant, where the ivory gets its weight from. Those nerve cells, they actually die off and they compact. And this is where you actually get your weight from. And in terms of the warthog is similar. The nerve cell has been the secondary growth goes to the basis. It gets thinner at in the lip, and it's thicker in the middle, where it's in the prime or still one young one, just the opposite. It's very thin in the middle, but thick in the lip. So these are just also to give hints for younger hunters to look out for that. We need to see that we preserve those that strong genes for the future.
Okay, very, very good. Now, did I hear you right that you updated the scoring system in 2019, but due to COVID and everything, you're really only now and then the last couple of years being able to put a big emphasis on it?
Yeah, I think it's by the end of 2019 we implemented it. It was our AGM is always end of the year, so it's then 2020 and 21 we had COVID. We didn't, although it was officially implemented, it was difficult for us because hunting was almost came to a still stand. So we didn't have the time actually enough trophies to get measured. And obviously, we are all humans, John. Change is hard. Yeah. Change is, it's not easy. We don't like change. We sometimes like our own comfort, and I also include myself in that. But, we actually got really better traction from also creating an awareness locally and internationally within our own membership base. And also that this is what we need to do and why we are doing it. And then also, I just want to mention that Kauwe Denker, you maybe heard about him. He was one of our stalwarts in different NAPHA who has actually instrumental in developing this system. He's a very good presenter, and he's very passionate about those aging of the trophies. So we asked him to give various seminars and talks on within our membership base on the measurement system, and also with our ministry. And we will continue doing that so that everybody understands it. And trying this engagement is also which we have with you to help us grow our acceptance abroad, if you want to say it like that.
How has this new system been accepted by the majority of the professional hunters in Namibia?
It was in the beginning, it was very tight. I must be very honest. It was say, why do we only change? Why are we reinventing the wheel? But we didn't have anything African. Be very honest, John. If I want to say it, I don't. With all respect, but we didn't have a African Namibian measurement system. So we always had to adopt what is being used overseas. But we have now an own Namibian NAPHA measurement system, which suits the African circumstances best. And this is something which obviously that philosophy you need to buy into. And there's also pressure from hunters. You always pressure from hunters to hunt the best trophy, best. Yes, I understand it. I'm also under that pressure, but you need to have that maturity to say, listen, hunter, we do have better older ones. Let's hunt. Let's go for it. This is and we also try to, and we have influenced our neighboring country. I know Zimbabwe, they are very keen to implementing it. They also use that measurement system on their leopard, on their predators. And for example, we want to grow that measurement system across Africa. It's might get some fine tuning, yes. Some African countries will have better info on various animals which we don't have as we grow into Central Africa, or we have more common animals which we only have in our Zambezi area, which we don't. So there will be consultation going forward if we want to drive it outside Namibia, but within Africa. which is nice. I think when we can have input from the other countries, we also think that we are trying to do something better for the future and our conservation initiatives.
Well, good. Like I said, I hunted Namibia for the first time 2006, and I've just kept an eye on things in Africa ever since then. And I've returned many times and all that and hunted different countries and all that. But I know Namibia has always, especially say in the last 8, 9, 10 years, when I see news coming out of Namibia about hunting, it's usually good news about responsible things you guys are doing and trying to work for conservation in a positive manner and doing a good job with your PR and all that. And so that's really good. And I'm glad to see that continue with this initiative. And I know you guys have been working hard to educate and train your professional hunters on doing that. And so hopefully I can help you do a little bit of that thing with your clients that are coming over in the future too.
Yeah, thank you, John. Thank you. We it's so great to have this conservation, and now we engaged early, almost a year ago. So sometimes it takes time. But we appreciate it. We appreciate that. We're trying. We always have our own hunting farms, and that we're doing it. But we're doing it for the good of not just us, but also for our hunters as a hunting community, and. The good news, maybe it's been we try to set the scene for that. It's not always easy. We do get a lot of criticism, which is also okay. We need to receive criticism and work on those issues. But I think we're trying to promote Namibia as a sustainable hunting destination, and we need to make this show also that we're serious about that. And I think our art system, how we call it, is one of the gateway tools to show the world that we are taking it seriously.
Okay, well, very, very good. As we wrap up, do you have any concluding thoughts? Any concluding thoughts that you would like to share with the audience?
Yeah, lastly, thank you for giving us NAPHA the opportunity, John. I want to, if you come to hunt in Namibia, my message to all those potential American hunters, if you're the audience, book with a NAPHA member. Book with a NAPHA. Make sure you book with a NAPHA member. It's peace of mind. You're supporting our association. You're supporting our initiatives. And this is the only message. And I want to thank you from my heart for that. And I would like that we stay in contact, maybe for future talks on that. We also can get our members in who were actually very present and driving it forward. But thank you very much, John.
Okay,
appreciate it.
Sounds good. Thanks a lot for joining us on the show today, Axel.
Thank you.
Okay, so like I mentioned, I think Namibia does a really good job both with conservation in general and with the PR side of their conservation efforts. And I think this is another good policy that they've implemented, and I'm excited to see what the future holds with Namibia, and who knows what sort of dividends this will be paying off in 5-10 years down the line. Now, they are not the only ones doing good work in this venue. Like I mentioned, too, Roland and Ward adjusted their Cape Buffalo scoring procedures back in 2019 with the same aim as Namibia did here. And with luck, more countries and scoring organizations will get on board with doing more to incentivize the harvest of older animals like this. I did put a link to the NAPHA website where they talk about this in more detail if you want to learn more about their new age-related trophy scoring procedures. And next week, the Africa series continues with the return of Kevin Robertson. It's been far too long since I've had him on the show. He's coming back next week, and we are going to talk about all the various 40 caliber safari hunting cartridges. Kevin's always great on the show. I think this episode will be an especially interesting and entertaining visit with him. So don't miss it. In that vein, hit that subscribe or follow button in whatever podcast app you are using if you enjoyed this episode. And please leave me a rating and or a review for the show as well if you haven't already done so. And doing both of those things helps me reach other hunters like you who enjoy this sort of content, and you'll also start to receive my new episodes automatically every Thursday when I release them. Remember, you can make your dream hunt turn into a reality, and we can help. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you back here next time on the Big Game Hunting Podcast.
This show may be over, but we have plenty more for you on our website. For more information on today's topic, as well as lots of other useful hunting resources, head over to the BigGameHuntingBlog.com. We look forward to having you back for the next episode. But until then, happy hunting.